What's going on, y'all? Peter Griffin here. So, Wuthering Waves' second anniversary has been a very big topic of discussion right now, and I really can't blame people because, let's be real, the patch itself is actually good, it's just not what people wanted. It is a good patch, but as an anniversary patch, it's not the best, and it's honestly very disappointing. And that's a common opinion I've seen that a lot of people have had over the past couple days. And I can't really blame them because a lot of people did have a ton of high expectations for the patch. Granted, some of them were just completely out of the realm of possibility, but a lot of people did have high expectations for this patch nonetheless. So what I want to go over today is talk about the reasons as to why people are very disappointed with this anniversary. And it really boils down to these 4 reasons as to why people are disappointed with the patch. So what are these 4 reasons that people are mad about? So the first reason that I've seen a lot of people talk about are the no return of the rerun banners from the first anniversary. And I think the fact that Crow Games didn't bring these banners back is completely stupid. And I don't blame people for being mad and disappointed that these didn't make a return. Because for a good majority of people, this was something that they were looking forward to, and I was one of those people, so I can't really blame them. And the fact that Crow Games didn't bring these banners back is just such a disappointment for this anniversary. And I feel like just about everyone, or almost everyone, was expecting these banners to return because these banners were essentially like an anniversary exclusive banner. And it would make sense for them to bring it back because these banners, again, were meant for the anniversary. So I think the fact that these rerun banners where you could pick whichever character that you want would have been an amazing idea to implement for this anniversary. And the main reason I've been seeing a lot of people say as to why these banners didn't return is because a lot of people were outraged when these banners came out last year, and in all honesty, I really don't get how people were outraged in the first place when these banners came out. And to this day, I still haven't seen a good reason as to why people could be outraged for a good banner idea like this. The main reason as to why people were mad about these banners in the first is because they thought they were predatory, which I do not see how these were predatory in the slightest. Because how could these be predatory when they allowed you to pick any character that you wanted and their weapon as well? Because if you look at these lineups, you were able to pick from these selection of characters and their weapons as well. And not only that, the pity was also shared across these banners as well. And what this essentially did is that it gave you another chance to get these characters that you missed before, that you lost your 50-50 to. And even if we factor in power creep, you really only need to pull 2 characters, and honestly 2 is kind of a stretch. I would say you only need to pull 1 character. But those 2 characters were Jeja and Carlotta, but you realistically only needed Carlotta because at this time, Carlotta was far beyond the best CPS. As for Jeja, you could argue that she was a must pull because she was Carlotta's best partner, but if you had Cantarella, you really didn't need Jeja. It would benefit Carlotta a bit, but if you had Cantarella, you could work just fine. And the only other character that I could really see besides Carlotta and Jeja is Phoebe, because you needed Phoebe for Zani, but if you didn't plan for going on Zani, you really didn't need Phoebe. And then for the weapons as well, the only weapon that's really a must pull was String Master, and that's just about it. And then there was Brandt's weapon, but I wouldn't really count Brandt's weapon because Brandt's weapon was only needed if you had Brandt, so if you didn't have Brandt, you really didn't need to pull for his weapon. So there's really nothing bad about this banner up, and in all honesty, you could necessarily skip all the characters here if you really wanted to. Because let's say you have all the characters that you wanted beforehand and you had their weapons as well. This banner essentially doesn't really do much for you aside pulling more copies of set character or set weapon, which in turn allowed you to save your Astrite for Zani and Shalcona during this patch as well. So it's essentially a net positive on both sides as well, because players who already had these characters and weapons, they get to save the Astrite and put it towards Zani or Shalcona. And for players who didn't have these characters, it gives them another chance to get these characters and weapons as well. So both sides are essentially gaining from this if you really think about it. So there was really no downside to these banners as well. The only downside that I can really think of is that the rerun banners didn't have a guaranteed pity, and that's it. But that's something that's completely fine with me. I don't really think that's the biggest deal. And even with all those positives that I listed before with these rerun banners, people were still complaining, calling them predatory. And because they call them predatory, it seems that Crow Games has listened and they are not doing it this anniversary because of people like these. And because of that, we were given an extremely lackluster and disappointing anniversary lineup. Because look at this lineup, this is honestly laughable. I don't even know what to say to this. And if I'm going to be honest, I think the only rerun character here that I could see that people don't have is Chisa, because most people didn't pull Chisa, which is fair because she doesn't have much use yet. But everyone else, almost everybody in the game has. Just about almost everyone has Frolova, everyone has Yuno, and everyone pulled Mornier. So 3 out of the 4 reruns are essentially useless if you think about it. So because of the lack of reruns this patch, there are only 2 characters to essentially pull for this patch. Well, 3 if you don't have Chisa. So this is what happens when the wrong crowd complains and Kuro just listens to that wrong crowd. We get a lackluster and just a horrid anniversary lineup like this. So to the people who complained last year about the rerun banners and how predatory they were when they weren't, good job. You successfully ruined the banners for this anniversary, so how do you feel now? And if people didn't complain, what we could have had were the rerun banners with the 2.x characters instead, and it would have just been amazing to see. But overall, these banners being a severe disappointment is honestly the main reason for me as to why the anniversary is just very disappointing, and for a lot of people it was disappointing as well. So for the anniversary banners, they were disappointing and just straight up not good. Now, on to my second point, which I haven't necessarily seen a lot of people talk about, which is kind of crazy in my opinion, but that is the lack of information or just update on the Cyberpunk collab. Because I feel like there are definitely some people expecting some news or information on the Cyberpunk collab. I was one of those people for sure. And it would make sense for them to give more information on the Cyberpunk collab for this anniversary because they announced it last year, haven't given any updates all year round. And this would have made the perfect sense, or just the perfect time in all honesty, to actually give an update for this collab. And in all honesty, I think the fact that the only news we've gotten so far as for the Cyberpunk collab, well, not even news, the only information that we got was from that leak, and that was it. Like, aside from Lucy being a playable character, we don't even know who else is coming or what else is coming in the patch. We don't even know what other characters and content are going to come from the collab as well. And with how Kuro has been handling this collab as of recently, it's honestly equivalent to how Hoyoverse handled the Fate Stay Night X HSR collab, and we all know how that turned out. Just an utter disappointment. I don't even know what to say about that collab to this day. Just how did they fumble that bad? And what I'm about to say might sound like a hot take, but I think the Fate Stay Night collab was handled slightly better than the Cyberpunk collab, only because, at least for the Fate Stay Night collab, they gave a time frame for when the collab was actually going to release. Granted, the release was still far away, and the release was still extremely vague as well, but at least they gave something. Whereas Kuro Games has essentially just said it's going to come out in 2026, and that's just about it. Where it's nothing else, just the year, and that's it. So essentially we're just left sitting in the dark with essentially little to none information about this collab, and they just refuse to update it. And it sucks to see in all honesty, because this is one of the most exciting things that Wuthering Waves has done in my opinion. And with how badly Wuthering Waves has just been handling the collab, it really makes me question, what was the point of doing this collab in the first place? Because at this point, they're just wasting everybody's time. Like, why announce a collab and then just give no information on it at all? Because it just feels very counterintuitive in all honesty. They're just announcing stuff just to announce stuff, which is just crazy. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if people's expectations for the collab are low and if the hype for it is just non-existent. Like, I'm still one of those people who are still looking forward to the collab. I don't know if I can speak for most people, but I am still looking forward to the collab. But other people, I wouldn't be surprised if they just don't even care about this anymore. So not having any updates or information on the Cyberpunk collab has just been very disappointing. And honestly, it really makes me question whether this collab is just even real at this point. Now, moving on to the third reason, it's really just the events for this patch. Because the events aren't bad for this patch, but they also just feel kind of lackluster if you look at it. Now granted, there's still a good amount of events within this patch, don't get me wrong, I'm not denying that. It's just the content within these events that people are mad about, and I really don't blame them. Because when you compare the headlining anniversary events for this year's anniversary and last year's anniversary, it's day and night. Because this event, in all honesty, looks extremely boring. Like, you can't tell me with a straight face that this event actually looks fun. It looks like a ZZZ event, in all honesty. That's how you know that this event is bad, if I have to compare it to a ZZZ event. And in all honesty, I don't even think it's crazy to say that this main event right here looks like complete garbage. That's completely fine in my opinion. Whereas if you compare this to Cube, Cubic, and QB, I think Cube, Cubic, and QB completely clears this event. Because this event was actually fun, and in all honesty, I'm very disappointed that this didn't make a return. Now granted, there were some parts of the event where it did feel a little bit annoying to play, but that was mainly towards the end of the event. But outside of that, this event was still very fun to play, and for a combat event, I think this is easily one of the best ones, and it was one of the most engaging in my opinion. And the fact that people hated on this event so much that they didn't bring it back this year is disappointing to see. And I really don't get how people could honestly complain about this event because, again, this was a fun event. Like, everyone hated on this event so much when it came out when it really did not deserve any ounce of hate that it got. So the main anniversary event for this year is already significantly worse than the last year's. And the only other event that I'm really looking forward to from this anniversary patch is Elusive Realm. And I'm very excited to see that Elusive Realm is finally making a comeback, and I've seen a lot of people also share the same sentiment with me as well. Because Elusive Realm has been long overdue for a rerun, so it's about time they brought this back. And this is the only anniversary event that I've really seen people talk about, and I can't really blame them because this event is just one of the best events in Wuthering Waves. It's arguably the best event in Wuthering Waves. And it's honestly kind of sad to see that the main event that people are looking forward to this patch, well, the only event that people are looking forward to this patch is Elusive Realm. They don't even care about the main headlining anniversary event or the rest of the anniversary events, and I can't really blame them because the rest of them just look extremely boring. Whereas if we compare this to the first anniversary, not only did we have Cube, Cubic, and QB, we also had Dreaming Deep. Now granted, even though Dreaming Deep did have its problems when it first came out, it was still a relatively fun event. But over time they did end up fixing it and they ended up keeping this as a permanent game mode. And simply using these two events alone just goes to show how much better the first anniversary was in terms of events. And then the only other event that's really somewhat comparable to any of these two events in the second anniversary is the Ace Combat Pilot event, but in all honesty this just looks like another generic combat event, which I'm glad we're getting a combat event, but this one doesn't look like anything crazy. And then the rest of the events that I can only really compare from both the anniversaries are just login events, and that's really it. But overall, the second anniversary just feels a lot less engaging compared to the first anniversary in terms of events. And while there are more rewards in this patch compared to the first anniversary, that doesn't really make up for just how boring a lot of these events are besides Elusive Realm. And essentially when you compare these two anniversaries in terms of events, the first anniversary just had a much better lineup than the second anniversaries, and it's honestly kind of laughable just how much Kuro dropped the ball in terms of events this year. And a lot of these events, aside from the QB Derby event, really just feel like non-anniversary events. They just feel like regular events with just the anniversary label or just the anniversary title slapped onto it. They just feel very lackluster and empty, and in all honesty, if you just remove the anniversary title on these events, you could just put these in regular patches and people would not know the difference. And the final reason as to why I've seen a lot of people complain about this patch as well, and I'm going to put this reason under a general category, and it's just unrealistic expectations. Now, what do I mean by unrealistic expectations? I'm talking about the people who are expecting a free 5-star standard character selector, a free 5-star standard weapon selector, and a free 5-star 1.x character selector, and a free 5-star 1.x weapon selector as well. Now, I'm not saying people were expecting all 4 of these options at once. They were expecting only maybe 2 or 1 out of these 4 options. But I think the fact that people were expecting a 1.x weapon and character selector is crazy in my opinion. Now, for the standard character and weapon selector, I don't think people are all that crazy for expecting it, but it not being in the anniversary does not surprise me in the slightest. And call me crazy, I feel like a standard 5-star character selector wouldn't really do much because, let's be real, most people are going to pick Verena in the first place because all the other characters suck, and at that point I'd rather just get more pulls instead of just getting a standard 5-star character selector. And for the standard weapon selector, it not being there is also fine because with how the weapon banners work in this game and how you don't lose the 50-50 on it at all, and with how much standard pulls you just get by playing the game, you will automatically just have a couple of the standard weapons already, so not having a standard weapon selector isn't the worst thing. I think it's completely fine. Would it have made a difference? A little bit, but not really. And as for the 1.x weapon and character selectors, y'all are crazy for that. I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all. Because Kuro really has no reason to give those units out. Like, they're bad, yes, but at the same time, they're also premium units, so I don't really see the reason as to why they would give out those premium units for free. And also, almost all those characters are just not very good as well, so getting them would just not benefit your account as well. Like, aside from Shorekeeper, just about every other character there has just been power crept or is just okay at best. As for the weapons, a lot of them are just okay now. Some of them are still good, don't get me wrong, like Stringmaster, but a lot of them just don't really do much in the game. And to be honest, most people wouldn't really benefit from these because a lot of these characters are just going to sit in your account. Like, aside from Shorekeeper, she's the only character I can honestly see people pulling. And as for the weapons, the only weapon I would see people pulling for is Stringmaster as well. So if you really think about it, most people wouldn't really gain much from this aside from getting another copy of Shorekeeper or Stringmaster. And at that point, I would have rather just taken more Asteroid instead of just getting one of those characters or weapons. Overall, that is why the Wuthering Waves second anniversary has been disappointing to me and a lot of other people as well. With how the rerun banners for this year are significantly worse than last year's. No update on the Cyberpunk collab as well. The anniversary events just being very lackluster and disappointing, and people having unrealistic anniversary expectations as well. And when you put in those 4 factors, it makes sense as to why people are disappointed with this anniversary. And it sucks to see because they had the foundation in the layout for this anniversary to be significantly better than the first one, but they just fumbled so bad and it's horrible to see. Anyway, what do you guys think of the second anniversary for Wuthering Waves? Are you guys still excited for it, or are you guys disappointed in it like everyone else? Comment your opinion down below. And thank you for watching the video. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell for when I do upload a new video, and I'll catch you in the next one.